games. Simple things. Pixels, buttons, a bit of fun. Then, somewhere along the way, the big platforms moved in. Last year, $200 billion flowed upwards, away from the people who actually play. This year, they take it back. YOM, where players play games straight from your PC, not a data center in Virginia. Meet Tyler Pemberton. Yes, this looks dramatic, but he's perfectly fine. Tyler's offline. His PC isn't. 47 players streaming from his GPU right now. Even AFK, Tyler's rig is pulling its weight. He's making money in his sleep. Maybe this is what happens when gamers finally take control of their own world. Turn your idle GPU into passive income. YOM.net. Eat, sleep, earn, repeat.
Hello, good evening, everybody. Wow, it is Wednesday night. I come back online Wednesday nights, and then I do also on Fridays in the afternoons. I am underneath a tornado warning at the moment, so there could be some weather that happens during this broadcast. If that happens, I'll keep you guys informed. But as it stands right now, we're just looking at some dark skies outside. So there's a lot to go over today in the industry side. So usually what I do on Wednesday nights, I do some of the community updates. I do some of the project updates. That's usually heavier, more content like that. It's going to happen on Fridays. And then I go into some of the industry. I go deeper on the Wednesday night broadcast on what the industry's saying and doing. And I've got some rumors from the PlayStation 6 that I want to go over because my first glance of it was like, oh, wow, hey, how close are they coming to doing what we're doing? And then on the deeper read, I'm like, nope, they're pretty far away and still making the same mistake it appears that all the other centralized cloud gaming services are doing. If you don't know who we are and didn't catch it from the intro, YOM is a decentralized cloud gaming network, the only decentralized cloud gaming network. Decentralized in that we allow people who have a gaming rig at home to put their rig into our network, and then we use their rig when they're not using it to power the network, to power the game streams, so that people in their general area can stream from their game, the games that are on our network. And this pays them money. In other words, their gaming rig earns them passive income when they're not using it. I think what we keep on saying is that the GPU cycles is an untapped commodity. It's a massive. There's a massive demand for GPU cycles. You can see this with AI and all the data centers that are springing up worldwide. But when you understand the physics behind those centralized data systems and why cloud gaming is just going to be hampered, it's already expensive. And that's part of the issue that the current generation of cloud gaming has because it's centralized. They've got to build a building. They've got to run air conditioning. They got to run those units. It's super expensive. So by decentralizing it all, putting it in individual homes, there's a lot less cost involved. And then the speed of transfer, data transfer from an individual person's gaming rig at home over coming out of a data center much further away to the end user, it's just no contest. We're faster and less expensive. That's the reason why we've gotten so much success in the early days. So anyways, that's a bit of the product stuff. I think that most people who are tuning in understand what it is that YOM does and our mission. I'm going to usually start off with programs. I'd like to share some of the images. So we have a mascot. You've seen him in all of our advertising and all of our Twitter posts and everything. His name is Walter. We like the name Walter. He is a rust-colored gorilla, slightly overweight, rust-colored gorilla. He wears blue jeans and a white T-shirt that says YOM. and round blue tinted sunglasses. That's kind of the only prompts you have to give an AI image generator to come up with an image of Walter. And we asked the community to go ahead and post their own images of Walter during the week, and we just like to review them on the podcast, on the broadcast. So I'm going to bring up some of the submissions that were in this past week. So I think this is, again, Walter's cousin. Not quite Walter, because not really as rust colored as you'd want him to be, and certainly not wearing his glasses. Walter, by the way, his demeanor is, you might look at him like very go with the flow, just relax, because Walter recognizes the inevitability of the decentralized model winning out, not just in cloud gaming, but in all the applications. Going to the edge in a decentralized way is just faster and cheaper in all sorts of applications. But for us, we're starting with the gaming because there's a huge market, it's underserved, and it's really one of the hardest problems to solve. So if we solve the hard ones, the other ones become easy. Anyways, thank you from REDev30. Yeah, REDev3834. If you're not following, there's a name up there. You want to follow these creators. Great image of Walter's cousin. We're going to say Walter's cousin. Second image actually was a video, and it was this parachuting. I'm going to see if I can bring it full screen. There you go. Gorilla parachuting in with the YOM logo on the parachute. Pretty sweet. Pretty nice. Again, not Walter, because this gorilla is not rust colored, but still, you can see apes jumping in. Actually, honestly, if we were to see gorillas dropping from the sky in a parachute like this, I'd probably slight panic maybe. But appreciate that one. Let's go ahead and mute that. Gadget B, appreciate this one. Nice looking. Again, I think the AI has a trouble with the idea of a rust colored gorilla, but right on par, Walter. And again, this is helping to announce that season 2 of the community quests have launched, and we appreciate that. This is from Gadget B. Again, follow all these creators. Another great one from again, another cousin, I'm going to say, of Walter, from God up Opus. No. GODUSOP 69. I'm not sure how you pronounce that, but I you know what I really like about this one is I'm digging this color combination of the light gray, or the dark gray, light maybe even navy shirt with the orange logo. I'm gonna have to get on the guys, see if we can get some of those shirts made. Let's see, where do we go? Another really nice one. I want to say appreciate this one. Again, the only thing I'm going to point out on this version of Walter, powered by DPIN and UE5, we are actually universal engines. So in our earliest days, we were limited to the Unreal 5 engine. We are now much more ubiquitous in that we can handle everything. But thank you to Anna W-Ek. Follow again on Twitter. And then our winner for this week, or my favorite one for this week, this one here is from Vaughn Zugchain. I just like the idea of Walter on time. First of all, it's the most Walter-esque of all the images that were brought in. But Walter standing on top of the mountain, just taking a good look around. I expect that's kind of how we're going to feel in the near term as we ascend the mountain and launch the network into the ecosystem, and watch how the gamers and the game publishers start adopting this version of cloud gaming, because it just is a better system all around. Let's jump into the community updates to the quests, see how things are going. So again, the new quest season 2 has launched. We're calling it Unbothered. Season 2 has launched, and already there are like people close to 5,000 XP points have been gained already from some of our folks here. Yasin is just cranking out the stuff, but I mean, we've got a lot of familiar names to us. Crypto Surfing down here at number 9. So I appreciate, again, this has been we've been live for a week and already just so much adoption, and we appreciate that, everyone who's out there spreading the word about YOM. All-time names are also being. I was checking out some of these guys today, and you look at Yasin, who is at top of the leaderboard for season 2, is already is about 50,000. Like all time is kind of climbing those ranks and could come up into the top 5 before too long. Now these top earners, they've been going at it for about 2 to 3 years, so it's going to take a bit of time to get up there in the lifetime achievements for people. But there's still, I mean, that's how close we are. Season 1, season 2, it's a good reason to have that separation, right? Because you've got people who can get in there and climb the ranks, and then you see them also rising on the on the all-time leaderboard. So thanks everybody for getting involved. If you haven't registered, you go to Discord and register your account, and then go out there and start accomplishing your bringing your XP by doing some of these quests. I want to give some project updates real quick. So while I'm over here, I can show the network V2 version 2 of the nodes has gone live in all cases, and you can see it's robust. I mean, obviously, we've always been strong in Europe, our East Coast, and now spreading out towards the West Coast of the U.S. That's getting strong as well. All right, down here in South America and all the way down in Australia, that's those guys are pumping out. India's offline tonight, but that's not to be worried. I mean, we have people come on and offline. That's the way the system is made to work, so that some people can take their computer back when they're wanting to use their computer, but then put it back on the network when they're ready to earn passive income. So anyways, version 2 of the network has gone live to all the nodes that are currently live. The shipping of the next series of nanos, we are on. We got prepared to do the send, and then found out that, hey, we want to make sure that the flashing operates correctly. So we wanted to do some more testing. So we held back. I think if you were expecting to see a nano in your post, you're gonna have to hold it back a little bit longer. We don't want to get these things out there and then have to again get them sent back because of something we missed. So more testing is going on, but we'll have updates for that on Friday as well. Let's see. We did just some inside baseball. We had our goal setting meetings for all of Q2 and going into Q3 and the remainder of the year earlier this week. And boy, I got to tell you, the tech team has got a stout list of things that they're planning to accomplish just in the next month and 2 months period, but certainly before the end of this quarter. A lot of it has to do with the robustness. So, we shipped version 2. That's not the end of the development, obviously, on the technology. So some of the things that they're talking about getting into is even making each node operator more profitable, because trying to scale up the ability to stream even more streams concurrently from a single node. And there's a couple of different avenues that we're testing out to go with. But again, all of this is to say, we said in the past, depending on the size of your GPU, you could stream anywhere from 2 to 8 streams concurrently. We want to keep on looking at those numbers and making sure that it's all valid, and if there's ways to even make that better, to make that better. But the way to find out for sure, to get a good estimate of what you could be earning, that if you haven't actually run the rig check yet, if you go to app.yom.net/rig check, the app is there. Run it on the computer system that you might be using to host a node, and they'll give you an estimate about how much you could be earning a month. And I'll put the link to that app rig check test in the first comment of the YouTube video for this stream, so you'll be able to see it there. One last program note. I'm going to be tomorrow. I'm going to be on the spaces with the Avalanche Team 1 team. So let me zoom in on this. It happens 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, U.S. Eastern Standard Time. So I'll be going on with the Avalanche Team 1. Avalanche Team 1 does a lot of work with the games that are using Avalanche as their backbone. So it's a very game-focused group and audience. And it would be great if the YOM community also shows up at the spaces and really pump some numbers. We're going to try to kind of flood the zone, let them know that we've got a lot of really good, smart people in our community who are going to support the Avalanche Team 1 community, because again, our YOM token, when it launches, will be launching on a Avalanche chain. So, and these guys have been great. They're very supportive, and they're very heavy in the gaming space, which is, of course, why we want to support them. So tomorrow, if you go over to look for AVAX Team 1 on X, and go to their post about the spaces tomorrow, set yourself a reminder so you know, and you're going to hear more from me. It's really going to be talking about the power of decentralized cloud gaming and why the industry is moving in this direction. All right, let's get into the meat of the product. I'm going to bring up my chat to make sure I can see all the messages, because I don't want to miss a comment. Let me bring up a couple of stories that I kind of came across my radar in this past week about the cloud gaming space, where it intersects with the cloud gaming space. One of the things that's really just short, quick topic. Microcomputers have been popping up. It seems to be one of the trends. One of the things that are popping up in a lot of my feeds. The concept of, we already know that hardware costs are going up and up and up. This is one of the reasons why we talk about the consoles, why they're starting to really sweat it. And they're talking about, like, can cloud gaming save the gaming industry, because no one's going to be able to afford these home systems. But these microcomputers, or these mini computers, the mini PCs, is a step to. think get more hardware into more homes. And it kind of crossed my mind, like these things, some of them are going to be powerful enough to run a node. And we wondered if the Google Stadia was one of the earliest attempts at doing cloud gaming. Google really kind of tried hard to make it work. Wonder if people had access to the mini computers, if this kind of thing would have helped them out. Anyways, we're going to drop a poll in the next couple of days talking about mini computers and that kind of thing. Is that something that we should be looking at deeper to help get more nodes out into the ecosystem? We're not sure that it's going to be totally necessary, but did want to put that up there, flashed across my news feed. The other thing that I saw again come across my feed was the idea that Xbox is still struggling, right? The revenue is dropping. They are earning more with their cloud gaming offerings, and which is good. And they've been trying to do some changes there. They're monkeying around with the subscription fees and then dropping off some games that are it's crazy what they've got to do. They've got to drop off the games that have high traffic because the whole system is kind of like a loss leader. So the ones that get a lot of gameplay or a lot of users on them, they can't. It's too expensive for them to host them. So they're dropping some of the more popular games and then kind of treating it appears to me, I'm just kind of reading into it, but it appears to me that they're trying to have their Game Pass system be more like a introduction to the game. And if you like it enough, you go off and actually do the install and not play on the cloud, which is not a crazy concept, but the wait times that are going into that people are waiting on and the lack of a great experience, I guess you could say it that way, is I think going to cause them to further struggle. We keep on saying to not just Microsoft, but all these folks is the approach you're taking, and I'm going to go into this with Sony, the approach you're taking to get change around your subscription plan or monkey with the hardware that's in your central server is really not going to ever really beat the idea of being there at the edge in the way that we've done it. Yeah, that kind of leads me right to the big article today that I want to go over. So treat these as rumors. I don't know for a fact, and I think that and this story pretty much has been repeated almost verbatim on several different websites talking about these rumors that dropped about what PlayStation 6 is looking at, and they're talking about amongst other things they're talking about cloud gaming and how the PlayStation 6 or how Sony is going to try to approach cloud gaming, and they're doing a few things I think that once again points out that they know centralized versions are going to struggle, and they're trying to it's kind of like there are a lot of holes in the dam, and they're sticking their fingers trying to poke and hold the water back in several different places, but ultimately that water is just going to keep on rising and eventually overtake the dam. The first thing they're talking about in this article is the brute force solution that they have for doing the streaming. They're talking about down where I get to it down here. So the hardware, the SSDs that they plan on using in their servers, they're talking about how they can make them faster. We can make these SSDs faster, the data transfer speed much faster, and that's going to help get the information out of the central server, out the pipe, down to the player faster than it could in previous versions. And that may well be true. However, they still have the distance issue. So if the server center, the data center can get the information, get the data transfer speed or the read speed basically faster, that is only part of the solution. The distance that you travel is still got the physics issue. So if you're too far away from one of those data centers, you're still going to have the issue of having reliable frame rate. So again, our solution is we're right there at the edge with gaming computers so you're streaming from the same town that you're living in. And this, of course, is always going to beat going off 3 states away to the data center. So that was the first thing the article pointed out, the first approach they're taking. And we get it, and I understand it. Yes, you do want to have better hardware. Of course, every time they do this, they have to talk about the cost of having better hardware, the increased costs that they're going to incur just to do this kind of scaling. And again, if they get more popular and more people are using the service, they've got to buy more of these systems and then operate more of these systems. So again, it's a good approach, but it's going to ultimately not scale correctly. The second part they talk about in the article is the idea that they plan on using AI to do upresing of the image. So they know that they're going to have to really compress the image that they send out. And so they're expecting that at the other end, they can have AI kind of upscale or interpolate the image that at render. Now, this is gonna. There's no way around it. It's gonna cause artifacts. It's gonna cause fuzziness because the compression is not gonna. The uncompressing is not gonna be pure uncompressing. It's gonna be AI guessing at what the image should look like. So again, we don't need to do that with YOM. We don't have to overly compress the image to get it out to the end user because we're right there where the action's happening, right there at the edge. Again, it's understandable, and so many companies are trying to use AI to plug the holes or fix the gaps. I think they're going to find that they're going to give this. I'm sure they're working on it kind of feverishly. What this article did, and hats off to the people who are doing this research, because what they did was they went to the LinkedIn profiles of people who are working at Sony in their cloud gaming system and took a look at what their backgrounds are, and then said, well, if this guy's got this background, likely what he's doing is using AI to upres a compressed image. So that's how this is why it still falls in the category of rumor, because it's really just investigative journalists going out there and digging through some of the things that Sony has posted. A third thing, the idea that in this article they're talking about the handhelds, and again, with handhelds, you're still going to deal with. I'm trying to find where maybe they didn't have an image. Yeah, they had an image. So the idea that they're talking about being able to broadcast from the PlayStation to the handheld devices, and this way it lets you be more. Oh, I know what it was. It was up here. You can be more mobile with your game. So you got the game playing on your PlayStation, and now you want to walk over to your mobile device and play it on that, which of course means you're buying a second piece of hardware. But that's transferred through Wi-Fi. So now you're talking about a data center to the PlayStation to your unit, and that's inevitably not going to. There'll be some games you can do it on. You won't be able to do it on games that rely on a very fast frame rate. Then the last thing that they talk about in the rumor that came out of the rumor mill for what Sony's doing is talking about their. And I'm not sure if I remember where it is in the article. Talking about their social media. The idea that they're trying to build like their own social app, the whole social channel, basically allows PlayStation users to talk to other PlayStation users, which of course, again, they have it. It's great. It's something that to kind of keep people corralled into their ecosystem. Our solution allows you to stream games into the much wider, more well-adopted systems like Discord, like Telegram, right? So if with our system, right, you're able to basically as ubiquitous as if you haven't heard this already, as ubiquitous as a YouTube video, where you can embed it in a website or drop it into a Discord channel or into a Telegram group. That's what we do with our cloud streaming. Our cloud streaming allows a game to be posted inside of Telegram or inside of Discord or inside of a web URL, so that the game streams right from there, meaning that Sony's ecosystem is going to be a closed social ecosystem, whereas ours is an open gate. It's kind of like, I talk about this a lot too. Back in the early days of the internet, because I'm that kind of old, there was America Online, AOL, and it was trying to build like a small, and they weren't the only ones, but they were trying to build like a little corral to get people who were going to the internet to stay inside of the AOL portion of the internet. They had news feeds, they had chat, they had mail. But ultimately, people realized that there's a bigger, wider internet world out there beyond AOL, and they broke down the doors and went every other place. And Sony's going to have that issue forever. They're going to have some diehard fans who are going to be Sony fans no matter what, and that's great because they make a lot of great content. But the wider audiences, and what they need to do is pull from that wider audience. They need to have access to where people are chatting outside of the Sony social apps, and that's going to be the Discords and the Telegrams and those other channels. All right, so that's the reports I have for today. That's a lot of news. I want to again treat the Sony rumors as rumors. There's no there's no beyond just the reports that we're getting. Again, they're repeated several different places, but I think that's just one source that dropped, and everyone kind of jumped into that same source and kind of repeated the stories. But it is pretty interesting to see what they're planning to do. Ultimately, I think what this all proves is that cloud gaming, everyone knows cloud gaming is going to be the wave of the future, the solution. There are all these different versions of what's going to work for cloud gaming. That will use this technology at the central server. We'll use this subscription model at the central server. We'll charge the players this much amount of money for this much access, and then we'll gate them, throw commercials at them, or whatever. All these different levers that they're pulling in order to make it financially feasible to have a central server. And ultimately, our thesis is that that's not going to ever be financially viable, because it's going to scale to a point that they just can't afford it. And Amazon was the first. It was a canary in the coal mine, right? It was just the first domino to fall. Amazon Luna decided to get out of the idea of having these AAA quality games because it was too expensive for Amazon to host, or it wasn't as profitable as they needed it to be for them to continue doing it. And again, had they decided to use us at their edge, they probably could keep that system going. Oh, hey, I didn't even point out, I've got a chair now. I finally broke down. I've been using a kneeling chair for 25 years of making video games. Every studio I worked at, I always asked or brought in my own kneeling chair. But I've gotten to the point where, you know what, maybe having a back to my chair is not the craziest thing. My son he games a lot, and he has a chair very similar to this, and convinced me that, all right, old man, it's time to go ahead and get yourself a back to your chair and stop sitting like you're in like a prep school, right? Or a Montessori school. So anyways, new chair. All right, that's kind of everything I've got for tonight. I don't see there's a lot of questions, but Wednesday night is usually a lot more people watch it after the stream happens as opposed to live with the stream. So we do appreciate everyone being there. Again, I'm going to put on the YouTube channel, I'll drop the link to the rig check. If you haven't run the rig check, or actually, even if you run the rig check before, I've said this in the past, we've updated the rig check as well. It's more robust. So if you maybe got a fail, or you weren't really pleased with, which I can't imagine, but if you didn't think that the financial returns you would get on running a node from your home system was enough, run the rig check again, because it's gonna be more robust. There's more to see, and we've done some more checks that are making more information available to you. So I'll put the link in the very first comment on the YouTube channel. We should drop it also, now that I think about it, into the X stream too. Put it in somewhere in the comment section of the X stream, because it actually gets more views on X. And then tune in tomorrow. Once again, if you haven't, I'll put it back up on the screen. The Avalanche One team. If you haven't followed them, please go ahead and do so. And then join me tomorrow. It is about 2.5 hours earlier than right now, if you're watching live. But it's at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Jump in and join the spaces. We're going to be talking about cloud gaming, the future of gaming, where Avalanche fits into the system, and where decentralized cloud gaming fits into the system. Oops, let me do that right there so you can see. Yes, it is following AVAX Team 1. These guys right here. Very good. Okay, as I say every week, be good to yourself, be good to other people, drink lots of water, tell someone you love them, go outside and touch some grass, be conscious of the world around you, and join us on Friday at 12 Eastern Standard Time, or 6 p.m. Central European Time. Oh, we're going to bring on our CMO. Jeroen is going to be here. Going to talk through the results of season 1, talk about the reward system and the badge system into season 2, and kind of answer a lot of questions. I know there's still some questions in the community out there. So that's a very special broadcast on Friday. I'm excited to be joined by our CMO. We can answer some of these questions that people have. All right. Very good, everybody. We'll talk again on Friday. Cheers.